Hi, my name is Sully and welcome back to my channel. Today we're discussing some recent movies that I have seen. If you don't know, I watch a lot of movies. I have an unlimited movie subscription and I love to go to the movies and I love to talk about the movies specifically. So let's chat about some of these recent movies. So in this list I have 9 movies. One of them was a rewatch and all of the others were new releases that I finally saw. So first off, we have our rewatch. So I've rewatched Groundhog Day on actual Groundhog Day. I love to do this. I say I love to do this every year. I've only done this 2 years total, so you know, it's not like an annual tradition yet, but one day it will be, and that's what matters. So I saw this in like the most fun experience with 2 of my friends, Brendan and Kelsey. So we went to a local independent movie theater where they were doing a special showing on Groundhog Day of Groundhog Day. And it was so cool. Like, I love movie experiences like this. It's so much fun. Okay, so we knew that there was a special themed dinner menu accompanying the movie and we would get the courses throughout the film. And I saw vaguely what the menu was and it looked really good and I was in. I didn't piece it together though until it was happening. So we got the first course, which was like this layered potato dish, and it was like a little square and it had a little, I think, spinach leaf on top, and it had like melted cheese. So good. So we were eating that and then we finished that one. They took the plates away. We were watching the movie and then the next course came out and then my buddy Brendan was like, oh, like I think they gave me the same thing as before. And I was like, Brendan didn't read the menu. He doesn't know that the next course is a lasagna. So it just, you know, looks a little similar. And then he's like, oh. And then he whispers over to Kelsey and I'm like, what's going on? And then he whispers over to me and he's like, oh my God, all of the items on the menu that we're getting look identical. So it's as if we're re-eating like the same thing over and over again, like Groundhog Day. And I was like, oh my God, that is genius. And that is exactly what it was. So we get this next one and it was like this little lasagna, and instead of a little basil leaf on top, it was like a little spinach leaf, and I was like, oh my God. And it was in the exact same square and it looked the same. And then for the dessert course, we got this little layered puff pastry that had a mint leaf on top and it looked the same. And I was like, oh my God, this is genius. So that was so cool and such a fun movie going experience, and we had an absolute blast. Loved it. I love themed movie going experiences. I love themed foods with movies. I love movies that specifically align to a particular day and you watch that movie on that day, like leap year, like Groundhog Day, like Valentine's Day, like New Year's Eve, like Mother's Day. These are all movies. These are all movies and it's so fun to watch these movies on these days, okay? Like, I love it. Independence Day, which has nothing to do with Independence Day, but it's funny, you know? So anyways, so the movie. I was actually not the biggest fan of the actual film Groundhog Day. I just think it's fun to rewatch it on actual Groundhog Day. But I had a really good time. Like, granted, it was partially because of this themed dinner experience and because I was going with friends and one of them hadn't seen it before. I think Kelsey hadn't seen it before. But I was just having a blast. We were all in this movie theater with all these other people and we were all just having so much fun. And one thing you really got to know about Groundhog Day is you got to remember the year it was made, because there's a couple things, particularly with the romance, where you're like, no. Like, there is a moment where he is going for it and she's repeatedly being like, no, I think we should stop. I think we're good. And he just keeps going for it. And you're like, no, no, like that was uncomfortable. That was very uncomfortable. I hate that part of the movie. And again, it is a movie of its time, which is unfortunate, and it's the reality, and that shouldn't change how we look at it, but it's just something to keep in mind while you're watching. But I really had a great time. There was all these like little moments that were previously funny to me, but it was just a great movie going experience. So I had a great time. What did I rate this? I rated this 3 stars, and I stand by that. Next, I watched Cordially Invited. This movie was rough. I was so excited for this movie to come out. Who are the actors? I don't know anyone's names. So specifically, this has so many actors that I love. This had, well, first actor on the call sheet is Will Ferrell. I hate Will Ferrell with a burning passion. If you love him, that's great. I'm sure he's fine as a person. I know nothing about him as a human being. All of the characters he portrays, I hate. I dislike them with a fiery passion. I don't like any of his movies. I don't like the humor that he has in these movies. I hate it so much. So why was I surprised that I didn't like this movie? I don't know. But otherwise, it had a bunch of other actors that I love. It had Reese Witherspoon. It had Geraldine Viswanathan. It had, who else? There's other people in this. Ramona Young. It had Jack McBrayer, Bobby Moynihan, Vinnie Thomas. There's a lot of actors in this movie that I loved. And the trailer looked really funny. Yeah, I hated this film. It was stressful. It wasn't funny. Basically about these 2 single parents of these daughters, who each of the daughters has like their own wedding, and they're marrying someone on this day, and then they both happen to accidentally book the same venue, and then it's a whole thing. So the whole movie is them kind of trying to compromise by having both of the weddings at the same place on like the same weekend, but also them kind of getting vengeful and seeking revenge on the other because they're ruining their daughter's special day, whatever. And it was just stressful. It was stressful, it was sad, it was a bummer because they're just like ruining these like special days for each other, and it was just annoying and not funny. And I didn't like it. My Letterboxd review goes as follows. What a stellar cast in such a drab film. What was the point of this film? What even was the story? It was just stress and sad. And I stand by that. I gave this 1.5 stars. Purely because I love most of the cast. So, yeah. Then I watched My Fault London with my friend LB. So we watched the movie that this is a remake of, because this is an identical film to an existing film on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime made their own movie again, but they remade it in English. I hate it when they do this. I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb. It's annoying, especially because the film that this was a remake of, Mea Culpa, which translates to My Fault in Spanish, came out like the year before, or maybe 2 years before. So literally that film came out in Spanish on Amazon Prime. It was a huge hit. Amazon remade the exact same film, exact same plot, but with English actors set in London like 2 years later. So I think it's stupid. I don't understand why they do this. It's dumb, it's annoying, it's a waste. That being said, Mea Culpa, listen, it is what it is. It's a trash film and it is entertaining, but like the plot, yikes, we'll get into that. This remake, they did a better job. It was handled a little better. It was still a trash romance, but it was just, it was better. It was better. So like, what did I give the original? I literally watched the original like 2 weeks prior. I gave the original 2.5 stars. I gave this one 3.5 stars. And like, as I say in my review, why did this film low-key slap? So you need to know the plot of this, unfortunately. This is about a young woman and her mother. Her mother is getting remarried, or has been remarried, to this man who has a son. So they move in together, and the daughter is like, why is my new stepbrother kind of hot? And you're like, no, 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 let's not do this. No, they do it. They do it. They fully commit. That's the entire story. So the whole story is these two step siblings falling in love, and there's this whole side plot where the brother is, in the first one he's like in a gang, in this one he's just kind of like a bad kid on the streets, and in both of them he's also does like illegal streetcar racing. But the girl, the daughter, that is the love interest, she also did car racing with her dad. So in the first one there's this car race scene that I thought was cool, but like left a little to be desired. This one, the car race was epic. It was awesome, and I was enthralled. Also, the soundtrack, the score for this film, excellent, just very good. So yeah, I gave this 3.5 stars. Then I watched I'm Still Here. This movie was phenomenal. I don't know if you track Oscar nominations or just the awards circuit. This one did receive Best Picture for Foreign Film. I passionately believe it should have received Best Picture overall. This film was phenomenal. This is a Brazilian-Portuguese film. It takes place in the 1970s during the military dictatorship in Brazil, and it's specifically about this woman and her family and the forced disappearance of her husband. Beginning of the film, you see their family, you see their relationship, you see their life, and then it all kind of starts falling apart. And I won't give anything away, but this is based off of a true story and about all of the real life events about the military dictatorship in Brazil during this time, and how so many people were forcibly disappeared. Their families never got closure. Their families were still trying to figure out what happened to them. This movie was absolutely phenomenal. The main actress, Fernanda Torres, did an amazing job. You just really feel the family connections in the beginning of this film, and you really fall in love with this family, and all of the kids all have all these different rich lives, and you really see what this woman goes through and what she's struggling with and how she's trying to keep her family together and find her husband. So this film was just brilliant. It was amazing. It should have received Best Picture overall, not just Best Picture for a foreign film. It was amazing. I gave this 5 stars. Now, switching gears entirely, I saw Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy. This is the newest Bridget Jones film, and I believe, hopefully, the last Bridget Jones film. We never expected to get a fourth. I think this is the 4th film in this Bridget Jones series, and honestly, this series has been going on for more than 25 years, which is just, it boggles the mind. I was excited about this film, but I wasn't expecting much. And honestly, I was kind of blown away. I figured they would kind of recycle the same story. You already see in the trailer, they like killed off her husband, and you're like, oh my God. You're like, okay, so this is the plot device that they're going for. She finally finds love in one of the movies, and you're like, okay, great. So in order for them to keep telling this story, they just keep having to like rip her love away. But you know what? They did a great job. Like, I think they handled it with a lot of care, and I think they told a really beautiful story. I know, I'm shocked as well. Like, here's the thing. They could have just made it seem like, ooh, cougar back on the streets, back on the prowl, but in the 2020s, and now she has to learn how to use dating apps and all these things. And it was parts of that, but it was also very sincere and about a woman trying to move past this immense amount of grief. So now she has a kid and she really wants to fall back in love. She misses her husband, but she also wants that human connection and her friends, which, listen, I think it's fun that she still has the same group of friends that she had in the original movies. I think that's great. Her friends are trying to encourage her, but she's also trying to learn how to navigate this new world of dating, and things are different than when she was dating in like her 30s. And it's fun, it's funny, but it's also really emotional and heartwarming, and I think they do a really great job balancing all of those. And so I gave this movie 4 stars. They really impressed me. Then I saw Paddington in Peru. This was a fun movie. I was so excited about watching Paddington. I was excited about this fun story that they were telling, and I was a little skeptical going in. It looked really fun and silly, and I was like, this plot is kind of out of the middle of nowhere. Paddington wants to go visit his family, and somehow his grandmother bear is missing, or his aunt is missing, and he has to try to find her, but his aunt is staying with these nuns in the middle of a forest in Peru. And it's just, it seems a little, you're like, okay, this feels a little like it's reaching, but I will suspend disbelief and I will be here and I will enjoy the film, right? And it was an enjoyable film. It was a little more ridiculous than I think it needed to be. Perhaps I'm being a little too critical because it was a fun time, and I think especially for these kinds of movies, you need to be able to suspend disbelief a little bit. And I will say they put this bear in so many situations of peril that I felt stressed. Like Paddington, it's not like Paddington almost died multiple times, but there were a couple close calls. I'm like, listen, this is a movie for the family. Like, do we really need to put Paddington's life in so many different risky situations? Like, I don't know if that's necessary for the plot of the film. So I give this 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it, but some things just didn't mesh with me. Some things were a little too over the top ridiculous, and I feel like they still could have told as much of a moving and fun story while still making it a little less over the top. But that's also where some of the humor comes in. So that's just one person's opinion. So next I watched Captain America: Brave New World. I had low expectations going in. I was excited for the film, but Marvel's had a bit of a rough track record recently, and I had low to medium expectations, let's just say. I will have some mild spoilers, but not really. So if you just prefer to not know anything, you can feel free to skip ahead until you see the next poster for the next film that we'll be talking about, which after this will be Anora. So in this film, this is like the 3rd or 4th Captain America movie, and I know that we all complain about this, but at this point it is getting a little ridiculous, the amount of movies that you need to watch in order to enjoy this one. I cannot even comprehend what someone will be seeing if they only go in watching the other 3 Captain America movies. I don't think this movie will make any sense. I think the whole plot rests on about 4 maybe other films and TV shows, and I don't think this movie makes any sense if you have only seen the films that this series is technically a part of. In order to understand this film, you need to have seen all of the other Captain America films. I think there's 3. Then Avengers Age of Ultron from like 15 years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago. Then you need to have seen the Eternals movie. And there's one more that I'm forgetting. But you need to have basically seen all those, probably like Endgame as well, Avengers Endgame. You need to have watched all of those in order to understand what the hell the plot even is and what's going on. Oh, the Captain America TV show. What's it called? Whatever the Captain America TV show is, you also need to have seen that. Which I did. So I've seen all these things and I was still lost because I've seen all these things over the last couple of years. So the plot, all over the place. The plot involves like something that happened in the Eternals, but then also bringing back information and people from Age of Ultron and the whole like Sokovia Accords that happened during that. But then also all of Sam Wilson's backstory. What I will say is I think this movie actually did look a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit at how Sam Wilson's race affected how the US government and the people perceived him as a new Captain America. They didn't dive very deep into it, but they acknowledged it, which is really doing the bare minimum, but it is honestly more than I expected. I didn't expect for them to actually bring up the conversation that him being a Black Captain America is different from how everyone was perceiving Steve Rogers as the white World War II era Captain America. I wasn't expecting that. They also brought in Isaiah Bradley, who they had previously used the, what is it, the super soldier, I think? Yeah, the super soldier serum on, and talked about how he was being perceived. And I feel like the film's undertones were really looking at how the US government was a lot more critical of Isaiah Bradley because he was Black, and they wouldn't have been if he had been white. So I was honestly impressed that they even touched that. There was also such a diverse cast. There were more Black actors in this film than I think in many of the previous Marvel films, which was so refreshing to see. So all of that, I think they did a great job. That was interesting. That was great to see. But again, the plot was all over the place. Like, what? It seemed like they needed to figure out how to make another Captain America film, include events from the other films and the state of the world, and somehow progress the plot forward. And listen, I'm not saying that they did a good job with what the plot was, but like, it was interesting. And as an international affairs person, I did really like how much they brought in international affairs and the consequences of US government actions and other world actors. I thought that was interesting. I was enthralled. Was it kind of unrealistic in some parts? Yes. Was it realistic in other parts, as in other world powers are trying to figure out who can lay claim on these resources and they all start to get a little bit wild about it? Yes, that was realistic. So anyways, I have very mixed feelings on this film. Also, here's the one spoilery thing I was going to mention. Why in the seven hells is Bucky appearing as a congressman? I'm sorry, what? In what world? In what world? What did I miss? What random Marvel TV show have I not seen where this somehow makes sense? I mean, explain that to me. Because I feel like I missed something when he showed up saying like, oh yeah, I have to go to Iowa to make a congressional speech. I'm sorry, what? I think he was still running in this film, so I'm sorry. Also, okay, here are the minor spoilers, all right? Shooting at the president, whether he's a Hulk or not, is a federal crime. It is a federal crime that goes against the laws of the United States. And all of the Secret Service agents are just shooting at Harrison Ford while he is the Hulk. I know that he is now suddenly a national security threat. I understand that. However, in what world? Would the Secret Service start shooting at the president if he hulked out? I'm just saying, that's not happening, okay? Also, like, I can't believe they targeted the Washington Monument like that, and the CGI cherry blossom trees. Listen, I live in Washington, D.C., so this hit a little too close to home for me, but the CGI cherry blossoms was just ridiculous. They could have still gotten the message across, like, hey, it's springtime. It's like April in Washington, D.C., and, you know, all of the, not allegory, but there's all these things with, like, them and Japan in this film. So I think somehow the cherry blossoms were supposed to be symbolic, maybe, of that as well. They weren't. But the CGI cherry blossoms was just too much. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I have been yapping on for quite a while, so I'm gonna try to speed it up here. But I watched Nora. Amazing film. It did deserve the Oscar award for Best Picture. I know I said I'm Still Here deserved to win. I still agree with that. I still agree that I'm Still Here should have won. But right after it, honestly, Nora, great choice. This movie was amazing. I'm honestly so impressed with all of the work and care and consideration that Mikey Madison did to portray the sex worker industry and how many conversations she had with sex workers. She went into strip clubs and nightclubs and talked to them and really tried to accurately portray their lives and who they are as people, and I really appreciate that. And I thought that was just done so well in this film, and there were so many moments in this movie where I was just like, good for her. Loved this film. 4.5 stars. And then last of all, we have Boot Camp. So this is a film that was based off of a Wattpad story. As someone who has written a lot on Wattpad, I can't be judgmental. It's just the marketing of these kinds of movies is what lets them down. And there are some stories that just needed a couple more rounds of edits, as we all do. We all need edits on our work. This one might have needed a little extra. So that's all I'm gonna say. But I was impressed. It had plot, it had a message. It was about this young woman who basically thought of herself as a fantastical, badass huntress character from her favorite novel in order to feel more brave and feel more confident and empowered in herself. And she goes to this like warrior camp in order to kind of escape the problems that she's dealing with, but then also because she feels like she needs to work out, she feels like she needs to lose weight. And the movie kind of, it a little bit looks at that message and is like, no, you're great the way you are. You don't need to do any of that. You just need to love the person that you are and feel confident in your own skin. It could have done a little more than that, honestly, but the message was still there. And there was a romance with a camp counselor, and it was fun. It was a little over the top, it was a little much, but it was a good time. And honestly, for these kinds of trash romance movies, I have seen worse. We know this. You can just look back at the couple previous months of movie wrap-ups and film diaries that I've discussed, and you will see I've seen much worse in these trash romance movies. So honestly, it had plot, it was fun, it was there, and I gave it 3 stars. So there we go. Now, after all of that talking, that wraps up 9 recent movies that I have seen. Let me know what you have seen in the past month or two. If there's anything you recommend, if there's anything you really don't recommend, please let me know. And otherwise, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!